All right. Well, we are on episode 004 of the JBR experience down here at JBR Studios. Just JBR everything. Link, merch, and bio. I'm just kidding. Um, this morning, it's the 4th of July. Happy 4th.
Happy Fourth.
Independence Day out there. Um, this morning, not only do I have my boy Alec behind the scenes, um, but also I got my man Vince El Muchacho. All right. His story. We came down here last night. Tried to record this episode. We had some technical difficulties, which is fine. Definitely believe in everything happens for a reason. But the way you and I linked up was originally I did your family photos.
hmm
Gosh, that was a couple years ago. Um, and then we kind of just like clicked from there, man.
Yeah.
You're a veteran, I'm a veteran. Kind of that relation. You just get it, right? Um, but then just stayed connected over social media, and then talking to you last night, dude. Like, you were sharing some things that I ain't never heard before. So I'm excited to kind of get into your story, where it started, where it went. You and Alec used to run together, doing some bad shit. Um, so yeah, just take for everyone listening, a quick introduction of yourself. Because that this podcast is about real people, real stories, and that's what we're gonna get into. So
Yeah. Heck yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm Vicente El Muchacho Martinez. Um, Originally from Houston, Texas, from a small town called Channelview. Um, I think Channelview is probably mostly known for, um, well, it being right next to the channel, and Jalen Hurts, man, he was a quarterback for the Eagles, and he just became Super Bowl MVP, and we're all really proud of him from Channelview. It's a really really cool accomplishment, especially when you played football there.
yeah.
It's like, oh, dude, an alumni became a Super Bowl MVP. No one in the whole world would ever
He
think
made
that.
it. I can make it.
Yeah,
I'm just
man.
kidding.
Oh, man. But yeah, no, from Channelview, Texas, man. I was born in Houston at some nun hospital downtown Houston, Fifth Ward, which is a really really like big staple in Houston. But grew up mostly in Channelview. Went to high school over there. Have an older brother and sister. My mom and dad. And yeah, man, it was nice up until I was like about 18 years old, and then I moved away. Dad got really. I was always in and out of trouble. I didn't want to pay attention in school. You know,
Like, when you say trouble, is like you mean like just trouble in school, trouble with parents, just kind of that rebellious teenage mindset type of deal, or like did you actually like law enforcement trouble?
so not really law enforcement trouble. I there's this word that we use in our Mexican culture. It's called chiflado.
Mm.
Chiflado means like you're a spoiled, rotten kid that just gets away with everything.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I was. I was a spoiled, rotten kid who had a dad who just worked his butt off and provided. And as a kid, being in the city, I never experienced work.
Mm.
It was always go to school, only go to school and figure it out. But all I wanted to do was just hang out and party and hang out with friends because I never really got to go out growing up. You know, uh, Never really got to go to birthday parties unless it was a family member or anything like that. So I never got to experience what it was like around people outside of my own family.
Yeah.
So I rebelled a lot, man. I rebelled a lot. I got in trouble in school a lot. Whether it was for like, making out with girls in the stairwell or something like that, or getting in fights, man. I fought a lot growing up. I felt
Mm.
like I always had something to prove.
Right.
So that was kind of a dumb thing looking back at it, but like it made a lot of cool memories. That's for sure. Um,
So that's you're 18 or whatever. From there, did you finish high school there in Houston,
so no, I didn't finish
or
high school in Houston. I got in pretty big trouble with my dad for going out and hanging out with a friend and spending the night. And he's like, "Look, man, if you're gonna be out there, you don't provide anything, you don't do anything. You're 18 years old, and you think you can just do what you want. Get out of my house." That's how it was. He was like just very cut and dry. Like, dude, you're not gonna act like that. If
Mm.
you're under my roof, you're gonna listen to my rules. You're gonna do what I say.
Right.
And he kicked me out, and I was ready to just be done with it, right? But I didn't have anywhere to go, nothing. I didn't have a job, so I basically came crawling back to my dad. I'm like, "Dad, I'm sorry, blah blah blah." He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna send you with your uncle and aunt to North Dakota, and you're gonna go work over there."
Mm.
Well, I was still trying to finish high school. At least I wanted to get my diploma, so they put me in school in North Dakota, but I had to go work with them. And the town that I went to was Steele, North Dakota, and it's right in between Bismarck and Jamestown, and it is the biggest culture shock I ever experienced in my whole life. From going into a big city,
Like
atmosphere of
Houston.
Houston to a town that barely had like 500 people, and the biggest thing there was like not a coffee shop, but it was a rest stop, a truck stop, and yeah, it was just the middle of nowhere. Didn't know anything, but I still had that mentality of partying and wanting to continue to have fun. So I took that with me to North Dakota, and the country kids in North Dakota are no different from the city kids in Houston, man. They all party the same. They all get down. Um, Everybody likes to have fun at a young age, man. It's just how you control yourself, I guess. But I didn't understand that at all. Like I
Mm.
just wanted to go out and have fun, because I,
Right.
I didn't really get to experience it like growing up. So I'm in North Dakota. I get into it with my my family that's there because I kept partying. I
Mm.
wouldn't come home, and they're basically like, "No, you can't do that. You have to stay here." And I'm like, "No, no, I don't. I'm 18. I can do what I want."
Yeah.
And I took off on them. I took off on both of them, and my parents super worried about where I'm at and this and that. But I ended up going to this town called Fargo, and I met up with a cousin. I stayed with him for a while.
And were you had graduated high school at that point?
No, I still didn't graduate
Still,
high school. No, I was
damn,
like maybe 2 months away from graduating, and I bailed,
damn.
thinking I knew it all, man.
Yeah.
Thinking like I could do it on my own with no experience working, no education, no nothing. I was just trying to wing it because that's the 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 horrible attitude that I had. Um, because I don't know, I felt pretty entitled. I felt entitled,
Right.
like, well, I'm somebody. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm a human. But that's not how the world works. Like, um, so I take off from over there, and for some reason, I work in Fargo for a little bit, and I get enough money to have I had a car at that time.
Mm.
I think it was for my dad or somebody, but I ended up taking that car all the way down to Texas because I ended up going back to Houston, and I'm back to living with mom and dad. But at this time now, I'm working and trying to figure some things out. Another situation happened with my dad where I stayed out, wanted to party, wanted to hang out with friends, didn't really care about work. I was always in and out of work, and or I was always going from job to job.
Yeah.
And dad was just like, "Dude, I'm tired of this, man. I can't, you can't keep doing this, man. Figure it out. Like you're a grown ass man." And well, I just refused, man. I just wanted to party. I
Mm.
was that, and that's when my addiction really started. Because I was out partying all the time, doing drugs. Doing cocaine a lot. So cocaine was my first, love into drugs. It wasn't marijuana or anything like that.
You just,
I just went full board and
yeah.
you know going crazy over there in Houston, just doing a bunch of cocaine.
Damn.
And
At early 20s.
yeah, early 20s, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how bad I was in it at that time because I was feeding my own addiction just by working as a waiter getting tips. So every day that I would get tips, I'd go and buy a 20 and go buy a 12 pack. And
Damn.
I just hang out with
W-
friends or something like that.
While living at.
Yeah, while I was living at my mom and dad's.
Yeah.
Um, and then, well, the situation happened again where I just was out, didn't want to come home. And dad finally said, you know what, dude, I'm done this
Done.
time. I'm
Yeah.
done. You're out. Well, I got a wild idea to say, hey, let me join the military.
Fuck.
So
Yeah.
it was just a,
And what was your age then?
I was, I believe I was like 19, 20 when I decided to do that.
And at this point, did you actually graduate high school?
No,
Okay, so
still did.
you're gonna have to go back get your GED
Yeah, I had to
type
go
of
back.
shit.
Yeah. So the recruiter painted the picture like it was like the best thing in the world. You know, like, oh hey man, the military wants you. We'll pay you all this money. You'll get a vacation. You'll do this and that. But
Not knowing your lifestyle.
not knowing that I'm like this
Yeah,
full, you know,
essentially addict.
yeah, just wanting to party and hang out and just be around people
Yeah.
and drink. You know, and yeah, man. So he's like, hey, I'll help you get your GED, but you got to be able to join by this date. So I got it done. And then next thing I know, like my departure date was supposed to be months in advance. But I got into it with my dad, so I went up to my recruiter and said, "Hey, what's the closest time? I want to leave now." And they
And
said, "Oh, a week." Boom.
and from a because I was on recruiting duty for the Marine Corps from 2015 to 18, so like I know that mindset of the recruiter. Um, and you're a high school graduate, like to for lack of better terms, high school graduates tend to get in trouble the longer they stick around. So if he comes up, if you go up to him and say, "Hey man, like I need out," all right, cool. There's always a hole
Oh
to
yeah.
ship you. So and because you were Army,
Yes.
so okay. So at this point in time, what was your job? Did you go open contract?
So what
Like
ended up happening, and this is the crazy thing, I don't really talk too much about it,
yeah,
but I do tell people, man, that it's the military is a different mindset, man. You have to fully invest yourself into the military in order to get every single thing that you want out of it.
yeah,
Um, Me, I had that I still had the mentality of I wanted to party, I wanted to go hang out and just see the world and this and that.
mm,
Um, I join, I take off, we go through Hell Week. As soon as we get there, which is like the registration and
yeah,
everything, they get your money right. I joined whatever they would give me, so, which was like a 25 uniform. At that time, it was a signal support specialist. So they sent me to Fort Benning because it was the first year that they let basic combat training in Fort Benning
mm,
instead of infantry because Fort Benning was always infantry.
yeah,
And then the year that I went in, which was 2007 or 2008, they let us go to Fort Benning. So I got to see, the whole jump school, everything. It was
yeah,
really cool, man. Um, so I'm in the military. I finished my basic. I go to my MOS, which was in Gordon, still in Georgia,
mm,
and I finished the school there. Well, I wanted to. They put me somewhere, and I wanted to do jump school. Uh, sure enough, man, I went to airborne school. Second weekend, I ended up doing something, and I hurt my leg. I tore my meniscus on my top and bottom, and I went on a run. And next thing I know, my knee just inflated. Boom, and I kind of made it a big deal. They wanted me to get surgery, all this stuff. I just kept saying no, no, no. The military wants, or gets what they want, like it's
yeah,
just plain and simple. If you don't do what they say, it's insubordination, and it's terms of, what, they can terminate your contract at any time and say, you know what, we don't want to deal with you. Take off. I messed up really bad because I ended up taking some pills for my knee.
mm,
Well, something happened where I had to go and take a drug test.
oh shit,
So the military had that on me that I took prescription medication, which were Vicodin at that time,
that weren't prescribed to you.
that weren't prescribed to me,
Yeah,
and they wanted to chapter me out. So I tried fighting it because I ended up getting court-martialed and all this other stuff. I ended up fighting it and I lost. So they got me out. They got me out, and it,
how Were you in for a
Yeah, it
year?
was about a year, year and a half.
Damn.
And man, I had all this stuff in my head, man. Like
What?
I did really good in basic, you know, like
So okay, so see, I didn't know that. I didn't know that part of your story. Because like you said, you don't tell a lot of people. But when you got out, like a short, because you enlist for either 4 or 5 years, whatever, depending on your job. But getting out early because you went in the mindset like this is my last opportunity to kind of
yeah,
make things right.
yep,
Make something of myself, whatever. Right, serve the country. So that gets cut short.
that got cut short, man.
How how did that feel coming home? Like,
The level of embarrassment, man, that you feel for it's almost impossible to get kicked out of the military. You know,
yeah,
it is almost impossible. And
you
going,
gotta like really
you got to really mess
you
up.
gotta really fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And coming back home, I didn't realize how bad it was, but until I talked to my dad, I remember the first thing he said is, you know what? Not even this country can take,
Fuck.
can take care of you, or can handle you. And that tore me apart. Like I was like, wow.
That's like that disappointed speech.
Yeah, that it was like, dude, I can't believe this. Like you couldn't even stay in the military,
Damn.
like you're a
And so your early 20s at that point,
yeah, early
you
20s at
know.
that point, man. Um but I guess the good thing that I got out of it is I knew I was getting out. Um Something happened, and well, I didn't even get a chance to go back to Houston when I was getting out. But I remember having that conversation with my dad over the phone, and he was just really disappointed in me, and he's like, "Just come back home, come back home." I had some money that I accrued from being in the military for that time, because they pay for everything, man. They pay
Yeah,
for
yeah.
your food, your
Right.
housing. So I had some money, right when I was getting out, because I had to pay a lot of fines. I had to, because once you get court martialed, you got to pay that. And
Yeah.
they'll withhold money. They'll do whatever
Hmm.
they want. Um, so I paid all that. I had some money left, and they gave me a ticket back to Houston. Well, right there at that desk, I was like, instead of letting me go to Houston, can I go to Washington State? And I decided to do that because when I was on Exodus leave, which was like a Christmas vacation, I went to Mexico with my family just to go
Hmm.
hang out and see how everybody was. So I already imprinted that I was already in the military to all my family, letting everybody know that like I'm this soldier. So imagine what everybody was thinking about me. Like, dude, this guy, he got out of the military. I mean, what the heck?
What happened? Yeah.
Like what happened? Like
Right.
what you had all these plans, man. You were so gung ho. Um, but yeah, I I I decided not to go back, and while I was on Exodus leave, I met a girl in Mexico, and she was from Othello,
Of all
of
places,
all
brother.
places in the world, man,
Dude.
Othello. And I didn't know anything about Washington State at all. I came up here one time that my family brought us when we were kids. So I just had a little bit of an experience.
Mm.
I didn't know about the culture out here in Washington State and how thick it was, man. Like they got some there's there's a little bit of everything over here.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Um so I come out here to Washington State. I'm with that girl for like about a month, and I'm just realizing like this isn't me. Like I this isn't my type of crowd. Like this girl partied, and I mean she partied a little bit harder than what I was used to.
Mm.
So I finally I said, you know what? I'm gone. I'm gone. I don't want to be with her no more. I left her. I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, I need help. He's like, no, dude, I keep helping you out. This isn't getting anywhere. Figure it out, man. Hangs up the phone on me.
God damn. Yeah.
I'm in this town of Othello. I get a call about 10, 15 minutes later, and it's one of my uncles that I haven't heard from in a long time. He's like, hey, come out here, man.
Out to where?
Out to his house that he lived in Othello.
Oh, okay.
Come to find out, I had a bunch of family in Othello. I had a bunch of family in Warden, some family here in Moses Lake, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this is a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I decided to stay. Got a job in AutoZone in Othello, and I was still partying. You
Mm.
know, I had a lot of family that did drugs, man. So I always had cocaine on me. I always had
So you kind
cocaine.
of got sucked back into that lifestyle,
Yeah, I got put back into the lifestyle because that's what I was around all the
right?
time. And yeah, man, I'm still doing drugs. I'm still partying hard, but this time I'm doing it in the Pacific Northwest. And I didn't realize the drug culture in the Washington state is scary. It's scary because it's a lot of it. Everybody's doing it. It's pretty insane. Um,
Which is kind of weird, like from my standpoint, right? Because I've never been in that. My best friend Alec, he was on the streets for 12 years. That's only been my kind of exposure to it, right? Small little piece of the pie, but it's odd for you to say that because I guess there's not a lot of light shed on it, right? You know it's there.
yeah,
It's kind of like tucked in the corner, but then I guess if you've never been in it,
yeah,
you
yeah.
probably just it's one of those things where it's like I'm just gonna turn an eye. You know what I mean?
So that's something that I learned like later on in life. I was like, man, you really are a product of your environment.
Oh,
You know, like it is the strongest thing that I learned to like who you hang out with in this life determines who you really are.
dude, I say that all the
You
time.
know, and it's
Yeah.
so odd, man, because you hear it growing up, but you don't put it together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, dude, like
So you're at this point in time, you're partying, you're doing stuff because it's around, it's available, everyone's doing it, your family's doing it. Are you mid 20s at this point in time ish?
I'm 21.
Holy shit,
Yeah,
dude!
it's not even that much longer and
You're right back in it.
I'm right back in it.
So, and then you do that for,
Well, so
and you're
what
working, right? You're working at
yeah, I
AutoZone.
was working at
You're,
AutoZone.
but
When I
just
was working at AutoZone, I ended up meeting my wife. You know, I met Esmer, and
yeah.
she didn't know it.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, man, shout out to Esmer,
She,
man.
she's awesome.
My wife is
In the little
God's gift, man.
the one time I've met her, she's
Yeah,
yeah.
man. She is the greatest thing that ever happened to me, man. And she gave me the most beautiful children in the world.
Your dude. Your family. You guys. I had such a good time like doing your family photos, man.
I appreciate
It was
that,
such
man.
like
Thank you.
a like you could feel the like. I meet a lot of people, and this is just a side note, but I meet a lot of people through my business. A lot of families. Um, I've never not met like a good family, but you feel people's energy,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You feel the dynamic of the family and stuff like when you're working with them. And it was just y'all's click and y'all's energy and stuff that you guys had during your photos was just like, man, you guys just have a good time, right? Like you could tell like y'all's home is full of love.
Oh yeah, man.
Like it's cool.
It's yeah, man, it's just a it's we're learning as parents every day, man, and having the kids we have,
Yeah.
it's 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 crazy, man. Like
So you
I
met her when you're early 20s. Did she work at AutoZone
no, no,
or she just came
she
in?
was
You're like,
so
I'll change your wiper blades. It's fine.
well,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
basically what it was, man. So she worked in McCain's back then,
Oh
which
yeah.
is in Othello,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I had some friends that were working at AutoZone. We're like, hey man, let's go out have some drinks at this place called Papa's, and you know,
Here in Moses.
yeah, here in Moses
Yeah.
Lake.
Papa's. Yeah.
So and we'll go to the casino. I've never been to the casino, you know, and
Moses Lake Casino.
yeah, my first casino ever in Washington State was Papa's,
The five
and
tables.
yeah. So we go out there, and I'm still broke, man. I'm still broke. Don't have very much money. I buy my one drink. I ended up seeing her walk in with one of my cousins, and I was just like, "Oh man, this girl's kind of cute, you know? Like, what, man? How am I gonna approach her? This and that." I walked up to her. I was like, "Hey, my name is Vince. How are you?
I'm
Blah
El
blah blah."
Muchacho. No, I'm just
She
kidding.
had no interest in me at all, dude. She did not. She didn't even want to look at me. She was like, "Dude, who are you?" She already knew my intentions right off the bat, you know. And I tried sweetening her up by like, "Hey, give me a hug." She's like, "No, dude, get away." And I was like, "Oh man, I came off really strong on her, man." And I ended up buying her a drink. We had a drink and we started talking. I ended up saying some dumbass thing like, "Hey, where's my hug and kiss on the cheek?" And she's like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I don't even know you. Like, why?
Oh.
And I just kept pushing it, man. I kept pushing it and pushing it. And next thing I know, I'm like, okay, I finally convinced her to give me a hug. And while I'm hugging her, I was like, just give me a kiss on the cheek, you know? So she's like, fine. So she goes and tries to give me a kiss on the cheek. And I turn around and I kiss her on the lips. And when she backs away, she just slaps me, man. She slaps me in front of everybody. She's like, no, dude. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I can't believe you did that. And
And
I,
this is your wife now,
this is yeah,
right?
she's my wife now. But I knew something. I knew something was there. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in love. Like, oh, this is what I want. And she's just looking at me like, you jerk, dude. Like, get
You're
away from me.
you dirtbag,
Yeah.
dude.
And so the group that we were all hanging out with, we all ended up meeting up at the same house afterwards. To go party.
All right.
And I did some dork stuff where I was like, oh, hey, let me see your phone. I want to take a picture of you and me. So she lent me her phone, and she turned around for something. I just put my phone number in there real quick, and I texted mine, right?
Dude,
And I did, man. It was the dumbest thing in the world. But I did that, and like we take off, we part ways. We didn't get each other's numbers or ask. 3 days later, I'm texting her, hey, what's up? She's like, who's this? I was like, oh, this is Vince from the other night, blah, blah, blah. She's like, how did you get my number? And I'm like, well, I was like, what happened was, well, I don't know. I just threw it in there. I text myself. She's like, oh, okay. All right. So we ended up meeting up and hanging out. Next thing you know, we're a month in knowing each other. And I asked her out. And 6 months into that, we found out we're pregnant. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So
so at this point in time, were you still partying,
so I was still
cocaine,
partying, doing cocaine. She's this innocent being
and she had
that
no idea?
no idea, man. People would
Fuck.
try to tell her, man, and I would get upset at those people and like confront them, like, dude, stop raining on my parade,
Don't
man.
fuck this up.
Don't mess up what I have going on. So, and I was very threatening back then. Back then, I was a very threatening person, man. I try to rule with an iron fist. Like I had short man syndrome, like everything would just make me mad, and I wanted to fight about it,
Uh,
And in Washington State's a lot different, man, than Texas. In Texas, it's very like cutthroat. Since there's so many people over there, it's just automatic. Hands are being thrown. Here in
mm,
Washington State, people like they talk it out. They talk it out. They're very open minded. They don't choose violence right away,
right.
which is a great thing. I love Washington, State for that. But that's not everybody. I mean, there's people out here
Oh
in
yeah.
Washington State that will take off on you
Yeah.
if you look at them wrong.
Yep.
Um,
So
but
6 months in, find out
six
you're
months in,
pregnant.
we find out we're pregnant.
That's wild.
So I had a choice to make. I'm like, okay, do I take off or do I stay? And so
And you're still early 20s
I'm
then.
still early 20s, no career ahead of me, nothing going on other than me partying every weekend and doing drugs. She had a solid job. She had a car. In my head, I'm like, oh, sweet. Now I have a car. Now I have, some income myself. This chick likes me. Um, and yeah, man, like I would go from job. I mean, so we find out we're 6 months pregnant. We I end up moving in with her to her mom's house, and we didn't even know we were pregnant at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up moving in with her at her mom's house, and she got in a fight with one of her brothers, and I was like, dude, I'm out. I don't want this, man. I don't want to be around this. So I'm trying to take off. She's like, no, you're not going anywhere. I'm staying with you, and
Yeah.
she stuck by me like
Dude,
right
it's so cool to hear that because like now you guys been together for how long?
18 years.
Man,
18 years.
she's like day one,
Oh
A1, day
man,
one, ride or die.
talk
Dude, that's cool,
yes,
man.
man. Like
That's so cool.
I'll get into
Yeah,
her right now. Like
yeah.
so, we're pregnant. We end up getting an apartment. We ended up having the baby. I'm still partying. I'm still going from job to job. I remember being a car salesman for the year that she was pregnant, and I totally sucked. I was the worst car salesman out there in the world, man. I didn't know how to talk to anybody. The people that I had around me didn't want to show me how to sell cars. Like it was a really doggy dog world back then.
Yeah.
Like you're if you go out there in the field, you're gonna get tore up, you know.
And which, oddly enough, you're selling cars now.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is crazy, you know. Like I
Yeah.
never thought I'd be a car salesman again,
Yeah.
but here I am, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, so selling cars, the recession happened back in like
2009.
2009,
Yeah, it was a crash.
and
Yeah.
yeah, my oldest daughter was born in 2008 in June. So 2009 came around, and I'm like, oh man, I can't sell cars.
Mhm.
I suck at this. I need to find another job. So I go to another job. Just to put this out there, Esmer's family is a great family, but they didn't really like me. They didn't like me because I think they seen the whole thing of how I was and how I always wanted to party and go out every weekend. It didn't matter if I left her at home or anything like that. You know, like that's they were mad at me because I didn't give her the attention
Do
that she needed.
Was her family pretty traditional, like
Yes,
in
I
that
well, I want to say
sense?
yeah, yeah, they are. Her mom's very traditional.
Yeah.
At the time that I met her, her father just passed away,
Mm.
and you could tell that she had to fill this void of a man in her life, and I felt like, I mean, I wasn't a complete man, and she worked really hard to get me where I'm at today. And I say that because man, she stuck by me through thick and thin.
One thing I'll say to that is behind every successful man is a strong woman,
Yes, 100% accurate.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
So
So that's cool.
it's so crazy, man. Like I have nothing but great things to say about Esmer.
So 18 years, you know, you guys were living in Othello,
No, we were living here in
or
Moses Lake.
oh, Moses.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and not to try to fast forward it, but like, how long did you live that kind of lifestyle of almost, you know, Alec and I have talked about it, kind of like a functioning addict,
Yeah, up
right?
until I was about,
Would you say that's,
yeah, that's exactly how it was.
like,
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
party, you do drugs, but you'd go to a job,
Yeah.
you would earn income,
Yep.
you would put on the mask and be normal,
Yep.
right?
So I got with her when I was like around 21, 22.
Yeah.
I started doing I was still doing drugs and everything up until I was about 25, 26. 25, 26 is when I'm just I or okay, in 2013 I lost my best friend of childhood
Mm.
and
To drugs
to
or
drugs.
fuck.
He was he was like my brother.
Yeah.
Me and him were like we're basically twins, man. We hung out all the time. We did everything together. We did a lot of drugs together, you know, and had a lot of fun. It was my party partner is basically what he was. Um,
I couldn't imagine that feeling because, like, there's been times where I thought I was gonna lose Alec. You know what I mean?
and yeah, man, it was
So
insane
how did
hearing.
that
So
hit you?
he ended up he had a bunch of back problems, so he had to take medication. But he liked to party a lot, and
Yeah.
he liked to be around women a lot. So he ended up hanging out with a woman one night. They got really high on drugs. He took his pain medication to come down,
Oh,
and he ended up taking too many of them,
OD.
and he OD'd and choked himself to death. Basically, he slumped over and 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 died. And they found him the next morning.
How did that, like,
That hit
you
me really
mentally?
hard.
Yeah.
That mentally, man. That I was working on a farm at that time, here in Moses Lake, and that's what drove me into real deep addiction. And well, it wasn't just the fact that I felt like my family didn't like me, Esmer's family didn't like me. I was having a hard time going from job to job. You know,
Like as a man, dude, that's hard to,
yeah, it's.
you know.
I mean, it's just I never understood that I had a childish mentality, man.
Yeah.
I was a small boy in a big man's world, and I was trying to be the man. And
And this whole time, Esmer's like the only constant,
correct,
and your kid.
yeah, she was just the one that just always supported me. She just
Which, dude, man, to then have her family be like not like you, and I'm sure they're always in her ear, and for her to stick around and do, like,
yeah, that's a big thing, man.
bro, that's,
That's
man,
that's so
yeah.
they don't make women like Esmer at all. You know, like that's just a.
Yeah.
During the whole time that I've been with Esmer, and we had started having kids right after, well, one after another after we had our oldest.
Yeah.
So we ended up having three, two girls and a boy, and she was just the main support, man. She was the income. She was
Damn.
the stable person that kept us together.
Did she know
So
about,
no, she didn't know about the drugs, and she
to this
didn't.
day, does she know? Does
Now
she?
she does.
Now she
Now
does.
she
Yeah.
she knows the whole shebang,
Right.
And I told her to be careful because I might say some things on this podcast that she hasn't heard before.
Hey,
So
he's he's willingly saying it. I'm not
yeah, I'm
proing
just
it.
letting it all out. Don't be mad.
It's part of the story, bro.
It's part of the story.
Yeah.
And so about 25, 26, I started hanging out with one of my cousins because I got into, wanting to. I mean, Washington State was going through this phase where marijuana was becoming legal,
Right.
and everybody wanted to get it in the industry somehow.
Mm.
I had this cousin that was a grower. He was really good at it too, man, and he made some of the best stuff around here. Everybody would go around him, but I didn't realize the type of people he was hanging out with. And he was hanging out with people from primarily the base, which is up on
Yeah.
by Patton.
Everyone knows
Yeah, if
the
you're from Moses
stigma,
Lake, yeah, you
the
know
stigma of the base,
the
man.
stigma of the base.
Yeah.
And he was hanging out with the crowd. Not all of them, all the guys were bad. A lot of them, ended up getting out of their situations and bettering their lives. Um, and it's cool to see that. But I got involved in hanging out with him a lot. Well, I started seeing what he was doing,
Right.
and
Making money.
he was making a little bit
Oh
of
yeah.
money, but him and his homies, man, they would always go to a room and tell everybody don't come in the room. So I'm thinking like, oh, they're doing drugs. I
Mm.
wanted to be a part of that. So I would walk in there with them and I'm just chilling. And the next thing I know, I'm seeing them smoking something on a foil. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I remember them saying, because I thought it was funny how they said it. They're like, oh, this is Chiva. And I was like, what? I said something stupid like, oh, that's the goat. And they're like, what? They're like, no, because Chiva in Spanish is goat,
Mm.
And I was like, oh, that's that. And they're like, they didn't want to tell me it was heroin, And they're like, here,
Dang,
take a
man.
hit. And me being around the crowd and wanting to be cool, I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll take a hit. Took a hit, didn't do nothing to me. I kept hanging out with my cousin while he was still doing it. And I didn't know these guys are all full blown addicts, but they look like normal people.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm doing this drug with these guys, and now I'm hooked. So I'm hooked on drugs, just hanging out, trying to be a cool person, and not realizing the effect of what this was gonna do to me, how this was gonna alter my whole life. That was the scary part, not realizing. I mean, looking back now, that that was the turning point of how it went from it was bad to it's gonna get 10 times worse,
Real bad. Yeah.
And I went from 25 all the way to about 25, 26, all the way to 35 years old
Holy shit.
on just like a
It's like
like a bad addiction.
10, 11 years.
Yeah. And
While being married, home life,
yes, while having a home
jobs.
life, family, and it's crazy because you don't realize how many functioning addicts are here in this town, in this state, and it's not just this place, but it's all across the nation.
Yeah.
Like people do this on a daily basis and just they're either coping with something, they're either doing something, they turn to drugs to kind of heal that. Because it's an easy way out, man. It's an easy way to just.
How did you even like remotely hide that from your wife?
So
Like,
at that time, doing that drug wasn't. I didn't realize you were gonna get like withdrawals. I didn't know what a withdrawal was. So I'm like, man, I'm feeling all this pain. My stomach hurts. This and that. What's going on? And these guys would tell me, oh, here, take this, and it'll stop it. So they would give me like a piece of a Suboxone or something like that. And Suboxone is meant to block
mm,
opioids out of
right,
your body and make you feel better.
right.
And yeah, man, it I started. It was either one or the other.
So would you like go get high and then it's like you kind of having withdrawals? You pop the Suboxone to kind of mask it and be able to be functioning at home
Yes,
essentially.
yes, yeah. Well, that too, or you ended up finding a way to get a good chunk of it, and you just kept it on you, man.
Eh,
And you would
Damn.
just, I would go to the restroom, I would
At home.
smoke at home, not realizing how dangerous this thing is, not
Fuck.
realizing what I was doing to myself and what I was putting my family through. Eh, The insane part was that wasn't anything, man. Like it just kept getting worse because I was around these. I ended up hanging out with like a bunch of gangbangers, because that's where the drug was around. And
Yeah.
then next thing I know, these gangbangers and stuff like that, and not not just gangbangers, but it was just people in general that I was hanging out with at that time. They were doing
Product of your
methamphetamine
environment,
too. What's
right?
that?
Product of your environment,
Yeah, you're a
right?
product of your environment, man. You're
Yeah.
around it all the time. You're gonna do it,
Yeah.
And so I started doing meth with these guys and doing heroin. So I'm like a full blown addict, still functioning and still going from job to job. And then I think it was about 30 years old. And at 30, I didn't realize this whole time I'm robbing my kids of their youth.
I was gonna say, did you have all three kids at that
I,
point in
I,
time?
I had all three
They were
kids of
all,
them,
yeah.
and I would I would get up, go find my high, and come back home and just watch my kids before my wife had to go to work, or I would stay up all night, try to get something, and then go home and take care of my family. So there was a lot of stealing. There was a lot of trying to find a way to feed my addiction.
Because I mean, at that point, because I've learned through Alec and stuff. It doesn't, no matter what it takes, right?
Yeah,
No matter
it's
what it
no
takes.
matter what, man. You will steal from your mother if you have to.
Yep.
Like it is the hardest. It's
Yeah.
as an addict, you don't realize that, man. You don't realize the pain and suffering you're putting everyone around you through. And
Mm-hmm.
and the hard part is the people that want to see you get better can't. It's hard for them to do something about it because you know what? They want to see you do better, but they know that if they step in at times, they're going to enable you, and that's the rough thing because I had a wife that supported me and backed me up on everything
From day
from day
one,
one,
dude.
man. And if she
Yeah.
would see me hurting or something like that, she'd give me money, just figure it out.
Yeah.
And there was a time where I got a little bit better and we ended up moving to Houston for a little bit. I ended up getting a job over there.
You, your family, everyone.
Yeah, we ended up moving to Texas. We stayed out there for about a year because I got back into drugs over there.
When you went back to Texas, did you ever rekindle things with your dad? Like,
No, it got worse.
fuck.
Yeah, it got worse. My For the majority part, my dad was just like, dude, you're messing up, man. And I,
Because I just like I'm just trying to think like timeline wise. Like, I mean, I get it. You talked about the disappointment. Country can't even handle you. Blah blah. But now you got a wife. You got kiddos. Okay, cool. You don't have a lockdown job, but you got a family,
yeah,
right? You got a good wife.
I have a great wife. Yeah.
You know. So I guess I'm surprised that dad didn't realize
So
that.
my dad's very old fashioned, and what I mean by that is, he came from, you know, a ranch in Mexico where they were very strict. His dad was very strict on him and always made him work.
Mm.
But him and his dad were best friends, so they were always side by side working and stuff. And it was a
He probably held that ranch job for,
yeah, forever.
yeah.
So I guess the expectation of what he wanted out of me was he wanted something similar to that,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that,
And he just sees you bounce from job to job to job to job to job.
and just messing up,
Right.
and I'm like, dang. Um,
So you're back in Texas. You weren't there for too long, and then from there,
so I'm back in Texas. I screwed up, lost a really good job, and then I got back into drugs, and that's when Esmer found out.
oh fuck,
She ended up finding the stash that I had
in Tech while you're living in
while I'm
Texas.
living in Texas,
Yeah.
and she was the look on her face, man. It was just
It probably, dude, at that point in time, it probably all clicked.
it it
Do
it
you,
it kind of clicked, but it didn't because I'm still a full blown addict, and
well,
I'm
did
like,
on her end,
on
she
her end,
finds it
yeah,
and she goes, all those
yeah,
times that you were sick, all those times.
yep.
Oh fuck.
And she wanted to leave, and she was gonna take the kids and move back, and she was gonna leave me.
Damn.
And for some reason, I think my mom ended up convincing her to take me. So Esmer didn't leave me; she took me, and
Did you leave Texas?
I left. We left Texas, came back up here,
Hmm.
and I got back into it. I got back into doing drugs. I tried to get a job. I ended up getting little side jobs from here to here, but they weren't anything solid. I was still a full blown addict, and by this time, I met Alec, and me and Alec, I got along with him really well because he was pretty similar to what I was doing.
Yeah.
He was having trouble in life, so was I. How does the saying go? Misery loves company, man, and this was my company.
Uh,
I we loved hanging out with each other, and we just we always found a way. It was for a good while we were hanging out. Um, and yeah, we would find any way to. Oh man, this is so embarrassing what I'm about to say, man. But I need to let this out because I've never really told anybody about this. Um, a way that I would provide money so that way I would be able to go and get my fix was
feed your addiction.
yeah, to feed my addiction was I would go to a store, and I can't say the store's name because I'm sure if they hear this I'm gonna get trespassed or something. But I would take packets of tamales, and they were frozen tamales, and
Store bought tamales.
I'd get like 4 or 5 packs, man, and I'd put them in a carrier, and I'd run out the door. I'd run out the door.
You'd steal them.
I'd steal them.
Shit.
I'd steal these tamales, man, and I'm surprised I never got caught, man. That is the most I
Dude, that is the one thing that I told Alec about because about his story about running the streets for so long. By the grace of God, I don't know, dude, and it's a God thing, bro. Like, I don't know how he didn't get caught up
Yep.
with law enforcement because I've watched him do that. I've watched him run that. So okay, so you grab the
So
store bought tamales,
yeah,
like
I would steal tamales, I would steal cookies from another store, and I would wrap them up like I made them at home, and then I would walk the street up and down the bars and stuff like that late at night and sell these to people. And
at,
people would just throw money at me, man. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, hey, food, boom, here." And so be on the lookout, man. Check your sources before you buy tamales and cookies out in the street, because it's looking back at it now, like, whoa, like I can't believe it was that bad.
you reverted down to
My addiction was that bad that I had to go and steal food from the store to sell to the public, so that way I could get drugs. And I'd have Alec with me the whole time.
and
Alec,
doing this in the wee hours of the night
yeah, and
while
while I have a family at home, while I have a woman that's just worried about where I'm at.
just kind of was on the brink of leaving because
Yes,
of finding the drugs.
yes,
Damn, dude.
and it didn't stop, man. Like I had to keep feeding this beast, that was addiction, and I didn't care what it was. I would do whatever it took, and
It,
it puts this really bad guilt in you once you get clean, because you look back at everything you did and you're like, damn, what did I do? Like, how do I tell
you,
everybody I'm sorry? Like, there's no way to do that. You can't just walk up to everybody and be like, dude, I'm sorry for what I did. No, it doesn't work like that. The best way to say you're sorry is by change behavior. You
bro,
have to change your lifestyle. You
yeah,
have to become a better you. And then eventually in life, man, people will understand that.
you got it. Yeah,
y-
Noki said it. Man, Noki had mentioned. I don't know if you had watched his full episode, but he had mentioned because he had two kids while in active addiction, and he lost them, right? And there was years and years, decades, dude, that went by. He had no contact with his kids, and now he's 7.5 years clean. He's living a phenomenal life. But he said one thing that really stuck with me was like, as a parent that loses their kids, you try to parent out of guilt and you do too much, or
Mm-hmm.
you try to overcompensate, right? You do something bad, you fuck up, you try to overcompensate with kindness, with anything, trying to say sorry, trying to do too much. And sometimes it's like people like, chill out, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like you're doing too much.
The one thing I
You know what I'm
learned as
saying?
a as at first when I was barely going through my sobriety was I wanted to announce it to the world that I got clean. Like I just I didn't know that socially, like I lost everything that I knew.
Mm,
Like being a social person when you're an addict is not. It's just it doesn't happen. Like you can't be
mm,
out in the public being a complete like a big heroin addict or anything like that or a meth addict because people will know. You
yeah.
know, um,
And Moses is small,
yeah,
dude.
I I went to an AA meeting or no, not AA, NA meeting,
Mm-hmm.
with Noki, and there was this girl named Cristal. She said it plain as day. She's like, when you first get sober, you want everybody to know that you're sober, that you used to be an addict, but that you're better again.
Mm.
But not everybody needs to know that. People don't want to hear that. People just want to see you do better.
Dude, yeah, I think I could relate to that. Is like, I think it's an unhealthy coping mechanism to seek outside validation. Look at me, praise me because I'm doing good.
Yep.
But at the same time, like you said, let your actions speak and let your actions have the success, right? Have successful, make your successes secret,
Yeah.
right? Until it's just public knowledge that you're just on point, right? Like, don't post about it. Don't like, you don't have to share your life with the world.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Just grind in silence.
Oh
So,
man.
so you got clean at what point in time? Like, how long had you been clean up until this point? Was it a year? Was it a month? Was it like,
So this is okay. This is where it gets really crazy. Um, right before I got clean, I was hanging out with a group of people that got in a lot of trouble. There were some really big figures out here as far as like when it came to crime and doing bad things. And
and
at
you're already clean at this point?
no, 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 no. This is
Oh,
when I was
okay.
still full blown addict,
Okay.
and like I almost went to prison for a long time.
Fuck.
I got caught up doing some things that I wasn't supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
and boy, I was in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Esmer at this point said, "I'm done. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. I'm kicking you out of my house.
Fuck.
I don't want you to see the kids. I don't want anything. Just get away from me." Um, so I went back to hang out with these people getting these drugs. Well, they I was still getting provided drugs because I would find a way to get like a couple like $10 or something and get a pill. At that time, at the end of my addiction, I was doing fentanyl because
Holy
heroin.
fuck, man.
Yeah, because heroin was becoming a thing of the past, and fentanyl was taking over.
Yeah.
So everybody was doing fentanyl, and it got to a point where I was so deep into doing fentanyl and methamphetamine to counteract each other. I was doing multiple. I would smoke multiple pills at a time, and mind you, a little grain of this
Could kill
pill
you.
could kill an elephant. Like it'll. But I just was so deep into this addiction that I was just doing multiple.
Damn.
It's like I wanted to kill myself, and because every day I would wake up and just see this dreadful life that I was living, and I felt like I could never get out of it, and that's the worst feeling is feeling like you're in this spot of
No return.
just no return. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna die. You're
Yeah.
either gonna go to prison for the rest of your life, you're gonna die, and that's it, or you get sober. That's it. There's no out.
I've always believed that, man. Like, Alec and I have kind of talked about that too, because I pick his brain a lot in the aspect of like, where's the missing link? Like, why don't those people you see walking the streets that are obviously strung out, why don't they want to get help? Why don't they want to get clean? You know, and when I found Alec that one night, over a year ago, he had said, he's like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm fed up. But it's like, maybe some people don't ever have that little inclination of wanting to do that.
Yeah.
And so you're just, I'm going to keep rocking it until it's my time, I guess.
A lot of people feel like they don't have the resources. And that's a lie because you know what? I see people like Noki Pando go out here in this world and they're trying to provide these resources for everybody. They're trying to provide a way for you to get clean. And it's the person itself, you know,
I,
they're choosing not to say no because they want to stay in that life.
and I think it comes down to them not having the people
Yeah.
in their corner, right? The family members. Like you had your wife, man. Like Alec had me and his mom that never gave up on him, you know. And I think those people that have been on the streets for 10 plus, 20 plus years, their family have probably just written them off completely to the standpoint of don't ever like block them, don't ever fucking try to talk to me. So it sucks. But yeah, okay. So at this point, your wife's like, dude, you're done. I'm kicking you out. You go back. Did you ever like you didn't go to prison?
So right, I didn't go to prison. I stayed sitting down for a long time. I'll tell you that. You know, they had me sitting down for a while because they were trying to get some things out of me to incriminate, you know, other people that I
Sitting
was
down
around.
meaning like
Sitting down as in like, hey, you're in a jail cell, you
oh,
know, and we're not going to let you out until you tell us something.
so you
And
were actually got arrested or
well,
detained
I was
or
it was like a detain, but they just wouldn't let me go. Like
were you being charged with something?
I feel like they were trying to charge me with like they were trying to indict me with something, you know, because I was hanging out with these active gang members, man, that were just getting in trouble like crazy,
Fuck.
you know, and these guys were they got put away. They got put away for a long time, and I was always around them, so I was always in the
Accomplice
pictures
or
and this and that when they were trying to put a case on them. So, you know, they held me up trying to, you know, tell on everybody. Well, I didn't. I kept my mouth shut, and I was just like, dude, I'm an addict, man. I was just around just to do drugs,
mm,
and that was it. You know, I just
right.
needed help. I got let go, and I went back to doing drugs, man. I
Dude,
went back to doing
fuck.
drugs, and I didn't learn my lesson. Yeah, I just that's all I knew. That's all the people that I knew was just being around that. So
Which is crazy, dude, because it's like this entire time you've had your wife.
yes,
Like that's how scary it could be, right? Like you have someone that is obviously a constant
oh yeah,
and you were the drugs are altering you so much to not realize that.
yeah.
Like
It was a really bad thing, man. She stayed solid for me, man. And when I was at my worst, when she finally said I'm done, I remember getting kicked out of the house. I had a backpack on me, and I was literally sleeping on the floor, on the concrete floor, for 30 days,
where?
just out here in Moses Lake,
Just on
out
the
here just
streets.
walking the streets, man, trying to get you know a high here and there, hanging out with you know
Holy
everybody that was
fuck.
homeless, like going through the homeless camps. Like I remember holding up a sign one time trying to get money so that way I could go feed my addiction. You know, like I was one of those guys.
I wonder if like dude, I wonder if your wife ever saw you.
So
You guys ever
I think they
you and
did.
her ever talk about those times?
So I don't it's so embarrassing to me, man, thinking about it. I can't even believe I'm talking about it, really. But
I
it,
would, dude, in to see you who you are today, and what you're doing, and just the life you're living, would have never guessed ever. Right? Like this is insane. This is all
yeah.
shocking to me.
Yeah, it's
But it shows that it's possible though too. At
yes,
the
it's
same
very
time,
possible, man. Like
right?
the
Like,
insane part is just well the realization of what I went through before I got sober was just that
yeah.
was the game changer.
Hmm.
Sleeping on the floor for 30 days changed my whole perspective on life. You know, like that was the most coming to Jesus moment I ever had. I once I figured out, okay, oh, I don't want to go through this anymore. Like this is it. Like I can't go. I can't be 40 years old as an addict. You know, like I don't want to be that guy. I was 35 years old. It was November 24th when I went back to Esmer and I said, "Hey, can you please help me?" And she refused. She said no. She's like, "I've helped you out so much that I'm not going to do it again." And I just, look, I'm dead serious this time. She's like, how should I believe you? And I just told her, I was like, "Look, let me sleep on your couch. That's it. I don't need anything else. Just let me sleep." I was on that couch for a whole month almost, getting sober. And I'll never forget throwing up, going through what I went through. And the whole time my kids are watching me. My daughter would bring me buckets so that way I could throw up.
Fuck.
But they all had my back. They didn't give up on me.
What do you think? Like, dude, god damn. I couldn't imagine like what your wife was thinking or trying to tell your kids at that time.
It was rough, man. It was really rough.
Like, kid, dad's just sick, you know,
Yeah,
or you know what I mean?
that's sick. He'll be okay.
Fuck.
And I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to do it. And I did.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
It was rough, man. It was rough. You know, I don't, I'm not ashamed anymore. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not ashamed of who I am and where I'm at now because I had to go through that pain. I had to go through my suffering in order to be me,
Yeah.
in order to be a muchacho,
Yeah.
and it's just rough. It's rough because you never think about the bad stuff that you put people through until you get better on, until you get sober.
Mm.
And I mean, it's rough, man. It's rough. I'm so thankful, and like once I got sober, started going to church. I had to get my spirituality right, man. Like I had to believe in God again. That was number one thing I did. And then because I put my body through so much abuse, I had to start figuring out a way to get better at, in my body and stuff like that. The moral support was there. My family finally has me back and I'm good.
Yeah.
In my head this whole time, I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do now that's gonna make it to where, I mean, I had to change my phone number. I had to stay, like literally stay inside of a house for over a month, not going out, not talking to anybody,
Like disappear.
like disappear. And I did this all cold turkey. I got off of fentanyl, heroin, and meth cold turkey. I had a few Suboxones to get me through the hardest times, but other than that, and what I mean by a few Suboxones is, I mean, I had like two of them, two, and that was it. That was just me, just because I
And
knew if I kept looking for the Suboxone, I was putting myself back in that situation of
trying to find.
try to find, something, and
Yeah.
feeling and talking to, dope dealers and this and that. So I knew I had to get clean off of that, or stop um taking it, because I knew you can get withdrawals from taking too much Suboxone.
Right.
And since none of it was prescribed, I just had to get through that. I had to figure out a way to cope with it. So for a long time, other than taking the Suboxone, I remember I would look up YouTube videos, and they would say that like people that smoke cannabis or take cannabis like RSO
Mm.
would help you through the withdrawals.
Mm.
So I was heavily using cannabis to kind of cope with the pain, because like your body goes through this insane amount of pain. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
get restless leg syndrome, your head's pounding all the time, you can't sleep, and
It's because
it's
it's become dependent
yes, your
on the
body.
substance.
Oh man, your body gets it. It's like it. It's like your whole nervous system just goes to mush, and you're sitting there and you're laying in bed 20 hours in with your eyes still wide awake, and you're just like, man, just give me 5 minutes of rest. Like, let me, like, imagine going through that while you're in prison or while you're in jail or something like that, where you have no resources at all. Like, that's insane.
Mm.
Like, looking back, I had an angel looking over me, man, because,
In the form of your wife,
yeah, yeah,
bro. Like, not to, dude.
yeah.
The angel was your wife and your kids, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That's who saved you, man. God knew, right?
Yep. He did,
God
man.
put it in her heart to make that decision.
Yeah. He did, man, and it's so crazy to me, because I took advantage of him so bad.
Like, now that you're where you're at today, um, doing stand up comedy,
Yeah, man.
like a successful fucking car salesman of all things,
I know, man.
right? Doing things on social media, like from what I see, just a happy, loving family, right? That struggled, that
Oh,
went
man.
through it. Do you still feel that sense of guilt?
Every single day. Every single day I hold that with me. But that's
How do you deal with that?
it pushes me, it motivates me, man. Like, I don't want to go back to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to the people I was hanging out with, and I don't want to go back to that lifestyle of looking for something every day because I can't be without it.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing I don't want to be without is my family, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but the come up was so sweet, man. Like, looking back, and when I got sober, I knew I had to do something to provide because I couldn't sit there anymore. Like, you get sober, you want something to do because your mind and body is so used to just doing the same thing over and over every day.
Mm,
So you have to plan a new routine for yourself. So I tried going to the NA meetings and things like that just to cope and let it out, right? Because you have to talk to people.
right.
You got to let some part of that guilt out so you feel better.
Right.
Well, I didn't know anything about NA etiquette and stuff like that, so I would go into these meetings and just tell my story and totally like make. I think I pissed off Noki Pando a couple times, man. Yeah, because I would tell people, "Oh no, it's okay to smoke weed." No, it's not.
Oh fuck.
Like
Yeah.
you can't do that, man. And
Yeah.
I didn't know, like I was just coping with it the way I was coping with it, not realizing, oh, you can't. Not everybody's the same. You can't say things like that.
Your recovery is not Alex's recovery,
Correct.
right? Like it's everyone's different. Everyone's life is different. The way I recover from mental health is not the healing journey that someone else is gonna do. So I
Correct.
went to an NA meeting on Alex one year, and yeah, dude, there is etiquette. There are people that talked about, you know what, I don't do the 12 steps, but that's what works for me, right?
Yeah.
Alex thing is he goes to church. He's like he's doing this, he's doing that, like, and that's what keeps him driving, right? So
Yeah, man.
I could see how that
Oh
went.
man. Looking back, man, I'm so thankful for people like Noki and Alec and you, and people who are just there to hear you,
Yeah.
because you have it. Everybody has a story, like, it has to be told,
Mm,
and when I got sober, I had to realize, like, okay, coping with everything, try to build a new lifestyle. I was waking up every morning, going on walks, working out, just trying to get my body back together because I felt like my time was being consumed by the fact that I'm probably gonna die really really soon because I just put my body through the worst of the worst, and I don't know how I'm still alive. So I need to figure something out to that way I don't have any like health problems or anything,
right.
but it's still gonna come. It's
Yeah.
it's still gonna happen. You
Which
just
is crazy too, because Noki, dude, was having heart failure,
Oh man,
crazy
I remember the
shit, dude.
stories about him being in the hospital,
And
man.
yeah, like, dude, his heart was operating at about a 10%. He had mentioned, and now even to this day, he goes and gets his shit checked, and it's above average. It's above where you're supposed to be. And dude, man,
Yeah, it's wild, man.
it like that's crazy, man.
It's wild.
Yeah,
So the
it's
the cool thing about like getting sober and everything is that you obviously you have to find something to do.
right.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at Esmer. I'm like, where should I get a job? Where should I go? What should I do? And she's like, well, what do you want to do now? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you can do almost anything you want.
Yeah.
And I at that time it really hit me like, oh, you're right. I can do whatever I want.
Hmm.
But at that I felt like I needed to give back.
Right.
I felt like I needed to do something to show everybody that what, I'm going to do good this time.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I needed that type of affirmation, in my life, but I thought to myself, you know what? Why not get back into car sales? Like I did it for a year. I sucked at it, but if I worked really, really hard at it, I think I'll be good.
Mm.
And so I'm like literally a month sober, at that time. And I'm like, I need to get a job.
Yeah.
And it was really quick, not realizing that I'm still like getting through the process of the mental part of coming off of drugs.
Right.
So since I was always hanging out with these gangbangers and things like that back then, I had this mentality of like I'm this tough guy.
Yeah.
The little man syndrome was at an all-time high. I thought I could fight everybody or get my way,
Hmm.
whatever. Not realizing that's not how America works. That's not how, if you want to be a businessman, you have to be professional.
Right.
I didn't know what professional was. And I'm putting myself into a professional setting and I'm like, okay, I'll figure this out. I went to every single dealership out here in Moses Lake and they all told me no. One of them told me, "Hey man, get the heck out of my place." I'm like, okay, this probably car sales isn't going to work out very much.
Right.
I went to the Honda store here in Moses Lake, and I met this guy called the bow tie guy, um, and he ended up moving to Seattle recently, man. But he was a big part of how I started and how I figured it out, and he introduced me to a guy named Brandon Love,
Mm.
and when I went in there, I still had that mentality of I got to tell people how I used to be and how I need to get through. So I sat there and I looked at Brandon. I was like, "Look, man, I just need a job. I'm hungry. I want to feed my family, and I'll do whatever it takes." And I told him about my past, about how I would get in trouble here and there, and
Mm.
he just looked at me like, I don't know what it is about you, but I'm gonna give you a shot. But I'm gonna keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh crap, I got a job. I got a job as soon as I got okay, life is great. So I'm like, oh crap, I don't have clothes. As a professional, you have to have the attire, this and that.
Yeah.
I looked at Esmer, I was like, Esmer, can you please man, so this is how awesome my wife is. She not only did she support me on everything, she would take me to the interview, she would take me to work every single day. She would wake me up and make my clothes and iron them so that way
Dude,
I could be successful.
I'm telling behind the scenes work, bro. I'm
Oh
telling you,
man,
behind every successful man is a strong woman that's doing the shit that no one talks about,
that's
bro.
right.
I'm telling you, man, it's real.
It is very real. And I went and bought a bunch of clothes at Goodwill, and then she would buy me clothes and get me ready. She'd buy me shoes. We'd go to Marshalls. I would figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I'm learning how to do this. First one in by myself. I sell like 6.5 cars, and I'm on this high horse, like, oh man, I got this. I know what I'm doing. The next couple months went 4, 3, 3, 3. Like I wasn't selling anything.
Mm,
So I'm like, oh crap! Like I suck at this again. And I still had that bad mentality, man, because I was getting off of drugs that I could talk and act the way I wanted. Well, Brandon Love wasn't having that. He's like, nah, bro, that's not how we do things.
right.
He's like, no, you want to work in this setting, man, you got to act right. So I got into it with him, and I don't share this story very much, man, because it's a personal thing with me and Brandon. But we got into an arguing match, back and forth, and I got up, and I physically wanted to harm him, and he looked at me, and I'll never forget this look. And Brandon Love's he's taller than me. He's a skinny guy, man. I could totally take him. Brandon, I hope you're hearing this. I know I can take you any day of the week, anytime you want, any ring in America. No, but he
Uh,
looked at me and he's like, "Sit down," and he's like, "Sit down now." And I don't know why I listened to him so quick, but I sat down. And next thing I know, I'm bawling my eyes out, man. And he's like, dude, you need to stop and just focus on you. Stop worrying about what's around you in this world. Like, just stop. Figure you out and then go out there and do it. Man, that's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear.
Another physical form of an angel, bro.
Oh, man. Oh, man. That day, El Muchacho was born. That day I something got into me that was like, you know what? I can't let Brandon down. I can't let my family down.
Do you think do you think at that point in time, because for so long you and your dad were disconnected, right? There was a disappointment there, all those things. Do you think at that point in time Brandon was the guy that gave you a shot, that took you under his wing? Do you feel like it felt a maybe filled a little bit of a void
It did.
in that fatherly figure
It,
thing?
it did. It did. So, and you know what? I should have brought this up earlier, but my parents did hear that I got sober. But like everybody else in my family, they were very skeptical. How
Waiting
long?
for the other shoe to
Yeah,
drop.
they're just waiting for the phone call of, oh, I'm either dead or I'm back at it,
Right.
because it was just a constant thing. But I wasn't gonna go back, man. I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna go back. I had it in my head that, you know what? Now that I'm sober, I'm not going back. I don't want to go through the pain that I just went through,
Yeah.
ever again. So when Brandon told me those words of focus on you, get right with yourself, I was like, you know what? You're right. And then I go home and talk to my wife about what I just did. And she's like, I was like, look, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out, but I got to figure this out. And she looks at me, she's like, why don't you just pick up your phone and record yourself? And those were the words that changed it all, man. Like, I was like, you know what? Nah. I was like, I probably won't be good at it at all. I'm a dork, man. Like, no, nobody wants to hear me.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you got to lose? Ooh, boy, that's it.
Yeah.
What do I have to do? I have nothing to lose.
Right.
I have everything to gain from trying something different and getting so uncomfortable that, you know what? The more uncomfortable you become with something, the better you get at it.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
that is the coolest thing in the whole world. Like, I never thought getting in front of a camera would change everything. It would give me the confidence that I needed to go and approach people and talk to them and help them with their situation,
Right.
with buying a vehicle.
Right.
So my whole mentality behind car sales wasn't trying to make a dollar. It was just, let me help people out.
Help people out. Yeah.
Um so yeah, I start picking up the camera, I'm recording, and I totally suck. I totally suck at making these videos. I am horrible at it. I'm saying the most corniest things in the world just to get like some type of attention. And people were just like, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of funny, like, but that's all I needed."
It's a chuckle.
And then I started, yeah, and then I started realizing, like, man, I really like seeing people smile.
Yeah.
Like, that's maybe that, I mean, I think I found my purpose again.
Yeah.
My purpose is to make somebody smile, whether it be selling a car or just telling a joke. So I remember one day I got really depressed because I seen everybody around me was selling cars. And I'm already like, 6, 7 months in, and like I'm still doing the videos, but haven't figured it all out yet. And I'm like, you know what? This is like around October, and I leave for lunch, and I take off, and I tell my wife, I'm like, man, this sucks, man. I can't sell cars. She's like, just figure it out. And then I look over to the side and I see a Halloween store. I'm like, oh crap, cool. So I go in the Halloween store and I think to myself, maybe I should make a character.
Mm.
Maybe that's what my videos are missing.
Yeah.
So I went and found the most curliest wig I could find. I found a cowboy hat. I found a bunch of fake jewelry. And then Goodwill's right next to that or right behind the store.
Yeah.
So I go to Goodwill, I find a suit or a coat. I put it all together when I got back to work, and I'm like, this is El Muchacho right here. This is the rawness. This is the raunchy little El Muchacho who thinks he knows everything
Yeah.
and just tries to make everybody buy something, and everybody just hates him. Um and I walk out in that costume, and everybody was like packed inside of that. There was probably like 6 or 7 customers inside the showroom, and as soon as I walked out, everybody goes like this, and they just start smiling. They were thinking I was going to say something or do something crazy. I didn't do anything, but just the fact that I got smiles from everybody changed it all, man. Like
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Right.
So I started making these videos, post them online,
Yep.
and I would get all these comments like, "Dude, you're corny. You're this. You're that. Blah blah blah."
But
And
I stopped and watched.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
next thing I know, I'm getting people from like the street telling me like, "Hey, man, you're that guy that makes the videos, right?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I that's what I do. You need a car, you know?"
Yeah.
"Yeah, I do actually, you know." And
Right.
holy crap, now I'm starting to get a really good income, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" I went from making no money to now I'm making over 5 grand. Now I'm making up to $7,000, $8,000. Like,
Right.
oh, this is awesome. This is just working.
Right.
And one day somebody says, "Hey, man, you want to do 5 minutes of stand up comedy?" And I'm like, I've never done stand up comedy before. They're like, "Oh, you'll be fine, man. Just do it." I was like, okay, you
Yeah.
know, never didn't even know how to prepare myself for a comedy show. Nothing.
There's no way
Oh
I
man.
could do that shit. No fucking way.
my
Dude.
fir- my first comedy show was in Moses Lake, Washington at Rick's, and I got booed off stage.
Yeah.
I got booed off stage. There, I went up there like not even 2 minutes in, man. I was like giving myself, affirmations like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be somebody," and this and that, and everybody's just looking at me like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Right.
Like, and well, they told me to get off stage, and I got off stage, but I was mad. I was so mad because that was my opportunity.
Mhm.
But then I realized that no, that's not my opportunity. I have way more to go to. Like I have so much opportunity in this world that it's not going to stop here.
Right.
Like I've already went through the worst part of my whole life.
Mhm.
Nothing is going to stop me from making something of myself now.
Yep.
Nothing. And the thing is that, and I tell everybody this saying, it'll cost you everything in life doing bad things. Whether you want to do crime, whether you want to do drugs, whether you want to be a cheater, whether you want to anything, like anything bad, it's going to cost you everything. It's going to cost you your family, your money, your time, all of it. But it costs you $0 being a good person. And you get more out of that than anything in this world.
Mhm.
And that's been the motto, man. Like,
Yeah. Which is cool, man. Like it's cool to see that. Now knowing your whole story, I didn't know that. I didn't know the struggles you faced. I didn't know your family seeing you at your fucking worst. I didn't know any of that stuff. And it really is a statement to you don't know someone's story until you just fucking listen,
yeah, man.
right? Everyone goes through something, and that's why I started this podcast, is because everyone's journey through life is so different. Everyone's struggles are so different. And there's so many people that have gone through so much shit that you don't know about, or that is facing a struggle that you don't hear about because they don't want to fucking talk about it.
Very true.
And So I commend you for one, sharing your story, but two, and more importantly, making it through it, bro.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot of fucking people out there that don't. There's a lot of people that succumb to that lifestyle, that make a permanent choice for temporary circumstances. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And for the little things that you're doing of putting people smiles on their face and the little videos that you're doing, for whatever it's worth, man, you make the world a better fucking place
Thank you. I appreciate that.
because you're here, bro.
Thank
You
you.
know? So,
I mean, who knew it was going to turn into this? Who knew people were
yeah.
making me shirts
Yeah.
of El Muchacho and seeing what I was doing, and they're like, "Dude, we're going to support that. That's
Yeah.
awesome."
And it may not be massive right now.
No, it might not be, but
That's the thing. That's the beauty behind it though. Right? Is just starting.
yeah,
Like this podcast is very small, right? I just got the studio. It's small. And I've been behind a camera for fucking 6 years in December. And I feel like I'm not featured in magazines. I don't have this fucking crazy this or whatever. But what you kind of said, I focus on making people happy,
that's it, man.
right?
That's it. I feel like I took so much from this world, man, that all I wanted to do was just give back in some type of way.
Yep.
And I realized that comedy is what got me through. With that and my wife, number one, like I owe that woman everything. She is my queen. She's my knight in shining
I'm
armor,
gonna beat your ass if you ever fuck it up.
Yes, man. Like I wouldn't
Now
expect you not
knowing
to. Yeah.
now knowing the story,
Um,
bro. Yeah, man. For real.
she, oh man, what an angel, dude. Like
Yeah.
I give her everything, man.
So
Um, but yeah, man, comedy got me to where I'm at now. Like seeing those, I mean, I got to perform at Spokane Comedy Club,
yeah.
almost like about a month ago. I got to do shows out in Yakima, Tri Cities. I'm growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at it. And hopefully one day I'll be out there just doing my bit. And
Just don't forget about the little guys when
no,
you're doing
never, man, never, never.
it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where my journey's taking me. Me and
Yeah.
my family, and you know, I I hope if somebody's watching this or listening to this and they're going through what I went through, whether it's just being an active addict or a working addict or anything, man, like you'll get through it. You're gonna get through it. It's gonna take it's a process, man. It's not gonna
Mm,
happen day one. It never does.
right.
Great things don't happen in one day. It takes time, And I got sober at the end of 21, and we're in year 25.
Yeah. 4 years.
You know,
Coming up on 4 years.
and that's so wild to me, man. Like I thought I was gonna die like that.
But that's the thing though, is people expect, in today's society, instant gratification, right? People expect that, and I say it all the time, storms don't last forever. Whether your storm lasts 3 years, 4 years, Alex storm fucking 12 years, right? Eventually the rain stops, bro.
Yep.
But it don't stop until you make the choice to in efforts to help it stop.
You got to have some storms before you get the rainbows.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and you're a contestant of it, right? You are a story of your storm stopping, right? And seeing the other side of it, and seeing the beauty that's on the other side of the dark, hellish hole that you were in.
Oh man,
So,
it's
fuck.
wild, man. Like it's so crazy because I don't want to go like move away from this community because you know what, this community seen me at my worst, and
Mm,
I felt like they all still supported me. I felt like this whole community was still there for me, and now that I'm better, it's just I want to give back. I want to be that guy from Moses Lake. Because I claim Moses Lake now, man. I claim that I am from here. I've been here for 18 years, man. This is my
yeah.
rest. This is my stomping grounds
Yeah.
now. So I want to put Moses Lake on the map somehow, man. And
Right.
there's other people out here doing a great job. Like we there was a football player named Jordan Reffett. He played for the Steelers.
Yeah.
That guy's a big deal. There was another guy that played for the Twins. Not even just in sports, but there was a dancer out here that got really
Yeah,
famous. Uh,
Caitlyn.
Caitlyn.
Yeah, she was on Dancing with the Stars and went on tour with some big names. I think Beyonce or
Yeah, man.
something like that. So
And we got people like you as well, man. One of the best photographers, probably arguably the best photographer in the state of
oh
Washington.
man, I don't
And
know about
I'm gonna go ahead and say that right there.
I don't know
The
about
awards
that,
right here.
bro.
The proof is in the pudding, man. Like this guy is like the best of the best.
Uh,
But
I appreciate it.
it's gonna keep going up, man. Like
Yeah,
it's not gonna stop. I have no intentions of slowing down or
yeah.
seeing anybody around me slow down because,
Oh yeah.
like I said, you're a product of your environment. You hang out with losers. Not that that's a horrible word to say, but if you hang out
It's
with
the
people,
truth though.
but
It's the
yeah,
truth. Say
it
it,
is the
bro.
truth.
You hang out with losers, you're gonna be a loser,
Yeah,
bro.
if you hang out with
It's
losers, you're
the
gonna be a
fucking
losers,
facts. It
man.
is. You hang out with people that have goals, that want to succeed, that want to go up. You are going to go that route with them.
That's
It
right.
may not be at the same pace because everyone's at a different point in their lives, but it's like, you know, I'm thankful that I got my best friend back because now all the wins that I have, I'm taking this motherfucker with me, right?
Yeah, man.
And it's like, so it's so true. Like, don't sugarcoat it. You hang out with the people that are not doing shit, you're not gonna do shit.
That's very true.
So, well, your story is fucking crazy, man. I had no idea. I didn't know that you went through those kinds of struggles, and I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you fucking talking about it because the world needs more of that. The world needs more of yeah. The world needs more of being vulnerable and opening up and talking about the struggles and how'd you get through it, because there might be that one person that somehow, some shape or form comes across this shit, hears your story and your testament, and realizes, and it clicks. It says, I could do that. If that motherfucker could do it, I could do it too. Right? So, and that's the goal behind this, man. Is so again, it may not go wide and far right now, but it will. If one person could gain some sort of value out of your story and what you've been through,
That's all it is, man. That's why I came out here. I was like, you know what? I need to let this out.
yeah.
Like I've tried to do
Do
it,
you
and
feel better?
I feel 10 times better, man. You have no idea.
It's like therapy, right?
I've tried doing this on other podcasts, man, and
Yeah.
it's just it's I guess they want to talk about different subjects, about like
No,
just
man.
weird stuff, and
No.
this is exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
To tell what I've been trying to tell for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Because I want people to know that, you know what, I wasn't a good person at one point in my life.
That's okay.
You
It's
know,
okay.
yeah, like I mean, I still look at it as, dang, I was really that bad, but like I said, I wanted people to see that, you know what, I changed for the better, and
Yeah.
if I ever did anybody wrong in any way, shape, or form, come to me, man. Let me
Hey,
fix it. Like,
it's not even about fixing it, bro. You're fixing it with your actions and
yeah,
your love. That's it. Plain and simple, bro. That's it.
eh,
You don't have to apologize.
yeah, you
Alec
don't,
tries to tell me all the time, bro, I'm sorry for that. No, dog, I don't. Guess what? Your payback is you're here.
yeah,
That's it, bro. I guarantee you, if I go to ask your wife that's been the ride or die, I say, hey, would you rather hear Vince tell you he's sorry every day, or would you rather just see him smile every day?
that's true. Yeah,
Brother, I guarantee you she's gonna say smile, man. I know it. So for whatever it's worth, bro, you're here, you're standing upright, and that's what matters. So I appreciate you coming out on the
yeah. Thank you
episode.
for
That's
having me,
episode
man.
004, man. El Muchacho
Yeah,
on the books.
look me up on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You'll find me. I'm out there.
He's doing his thing. And if you ever need a car, man,
Yeah, if you ever need a car,
I tried to buy one from him. It wasn't in the books, but the experience was great.
right on.
It was cool.
That's all
So
it is, man. Just give somebody a good experience, make them laugh.
yeah,
Make it easy on them,
yeah,
because man, dude, it is so painful buying
yeah.
vehicles or
It
buying
is.
anything in general,
It
man.
is. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, let me make you laugh, or
yeah.
just laugh at me. I don't care, like
Hell yeah.
tell me I'm fat, tell me I'm handsome. I don't know.
Until uh until next week, we got another guest lined out. Um, Taylor Schroep, she's coming on, and we got another one person. We got two people lined out for next week, which will be the following episodes for the next couple weeks. So If you want to be on the show, man, it's not about having a status. It's not about being a business owner. It's not about any of that shit, not having a following, whatever. It's about you being real. It's about sharing the story and having the willingness to be vulnerable to share it, right? I may not know you personally. I may not know you for a long fucking time, but I promise we'll be good friends after.
Oh yeah, man, big
Right?
time. Yeah,
So again, man, I appreciate you coming out. Until next time, tune in the next week. Let's go.
for sure.
That was legit, bro.
Yeah.
That was legit, bro.